As I set out in my manifesto, London Living Rent will be a new type of home aimed at private tenants with rents based on 1/3 of average local incomes. This will start to address the gross unaffordability of London's private rented sector, where fewer people than ever are able to save up to access home ownership. My officers and I are working with partners, including housing associations, on the details of the London Living Rent, and I'll publish proposals in the near future. But rest assured that these homes are just one part of a package of genuinely affordable new homes for Londoners, including new homes for social rent and for shared ownership. This is in marked contrast to the previous mayor, who did nothing, literally nothing, to help private renters, and who enthusiastically supported the government's damaging Housing and Planning Act, which replaces proper affordable homes with homes costing up to £450,000.
Okay, thank you. And also to offer my congratulations on your election. It was interesting to hear during the election that your father was a bus driver, and I don't know if you noticed that I'm a private renter myself, so this is an issue very close to my heart. And I know you've said 1/3 of average local incomes, and a simple calculation based on that is one way of doing this, but as a woman, I know that women earn less than men on average. London has the largest gender pay gap of any region. Twice as many women as men in London are paying more than half their income on rent. So will the work you do on this calculate separately what the implications of the pay gap are for defining a living rent for women in the city?
So the work that the officers are doing is in relation to the various living rents around London, working closely with local authorities and others. We've not factored in the point you raised in relation to disaggregating the fact that women get, on average, 81% of the salary a man gets. But let me look into that, because it's a really important point, and we need to make sure we don't inadvertently, don't give the benefits to Londoners who are women that I intend to give to men.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I come back to that? Can we talk about that, maybe what we can do to address that?
I'd be happy to. Similarly, the cost of living is higher for families in London, including childcare and the still unfair transport fares charged to part-time workers. The majority of children in poverty in London are living in rented housing as well. There's more than 500,000 of them. So will you take these issues into account, the higher cost of living elsewhere other than rents, when calculating the definition of a living rent for family homes?
So yes and no. So the London Living Rent, what we're trying to move away from is market values of property towards moving towards linking it between what people earn. So it's linked to earnings rather than market value of property. All the experts say, from shelter to others, that the definition of a living rent should be 1/3 of average earnings. There's an argument that there should be mean or median. But you're right, there's 700,000 children in London living in private rented accommodation. And so it's a factor in relation to why London's been hollowed out, and some of the problems that we discussed during the campaign. But the London Living Rent is firmly linked towards average earnings rather than the living costs Londoners have. And I'm trying to address the issue of, for example, transport costs, which is why I made a promise, which I intend to keep, of freezing fares for the next 4 years.
Thank you. My question there was really, though, will you also take, affordability is a question of, what spare income you have to spend on your rent. So it's a question of income, but it's also a question of your other living costs. And so I'm asking whether you'll try and take those into account, particularly for families.
No, it's linked with earnings.
Just earnings. Okay, no question on that. Finally, another group affected by high rents are students. They're campaigning for a student living rent. Their costs are rising for student accommodation, and they have very low average incomes. Will you work with the higher education sector to produce an official figure for a student living rent that they ought to be complying with?
You all know it depends where you live in London. Student digs in some parts of London are cheaper than other parts of London. But we need to make sure that the lights we're building up includes younger people, some of whom are students, older students as well. And that's part of the work the Alliance is going to do, Hopes for London is going to do.
So that's a yes, you'll look at the
We're going to
student
speak
living
to them,
rent. Okay, thank you.